All right, we are live. I'm sitting in for Shane tonight. You notice there's nobody sitting here wearing a wife beater. No, um, no, I'm sitting in for Shane tonight. This is the Finding Bigfoot after show. The show just went off the air, and I got to say it was another good one. It really was.
Yeah, it was.
I have to say it was another good one. I really did enjoy this one, and I'll give my rating, of course, at the end of the of this review. But it started out, Freddie, with an interesting, Nikki, with an interesting trail cam. Very fascinating trail cam, which may have shown something. What do y'all think?
You want to go
I don't
first,
know.
Nikki?
I, it didn't look like it was in the right place. And according to Michelle, I'm sorry, what's Michelle's last name?
This is a novel?
Yeah, she brought up a really good point in our chat during the show that it looked changed, that it looked like it was in maybe a little bit different position. And I know they said they were taping from a little bit different um, view. But to me, when I saw the two side by side, I wish I could have freeze framed it, and I'm going to go back. But it looked like the legs were taller to me.
Hmm.
And I don't know if that had to do with the different times of the season, because it was June, and then whenever they were filming. So it could have been just the weeds that made it look different. But I don't know. To me, it looked like it was the same height as Bobo. To me, it looks like it had boots on over dark jeans, and it looked like a jacket. But then, why would it be wearing a hunter be wearing a jacket in June? So I don't know.
It's a good question.
You know.
Well, with me,
Freddie, you made
with
an
me,
interesting
with
observation, Freddie, about the positioning of Bobo and the entity in the photograph.
okay, what I'm looking at, or what I've seen, uh, the squatch or person, whatever it may have been, was past it about like 2 or 3 feet. It looks like. But when Bobo was there, he was standing. When they showed him filming, he was standing right next to it.
Exactly.
Now the grass in that area in that part of the state is like a stickweed. You know, like on the beach, you got that stick grass that's on the beach. That was up a little higher. It looked like from the original picture. And Michelle, and I think Nikki and a couple other people, I can't remember for them, said it was they moved the hut. Like huts like that, they got to put them in the ground because if you don't, they'll fall over. They're only made for 2 people. I got 5 of them, and we tried to set it on top of the ground. It fell right over. But thing about it is the bottom of the feet is you notice you come down past from his hips all the way down to his knees, like look nice and fat. But from the knees down, it kind of reminded me of that video of that picture that one guy put up of a squatch supposedly running away, and he had real skinny
Hmm.
from the knees down, was real skinny. All the squatches that I've seen, their legs are like that all the way down from their knees down, big. That looked kind of skinny, but
Hmm.
it was the head was up there. Uh, let's just say that the eyeballs is right in the middle, or kind of almost about 4 inches above that opening. That's the only difference I
Hmm.
can see. But it was hairy. It looked hairy. But what got me was from the knees down. That did not make no sense.
Hmm.
And that's what I
Well,
thought. It looked like jeans inside of boots, kind of, because the way it tapered so fast right at the knee.
Exactly. Yeah, that was kind of funny though.
well, it was either one of three things. It was either a squatch, or Bobo was in the wrong position, which I think is possible that he was in the wrong position, standing beside the deer blind, or the yeah, and the entity in the photograph seemed to be a little bit past the the deer blind.
Right.
So it's really hard to determine. I mean, I have to say that I'm on the fence about that photograph, but it's most likely it is nothing more than a hunter or a fisherman passing through. Although I did not see any gun, I did not see a fishing pole, so I don't know.
Why was it wearing black? I mean, or perhaps black, uh, faded black is what it looked like. Like you know when your hair's thin, at a distance looks faded. It kind of had that tendency of looking at it. You know, it could have been a squatch, but
Well, we'll never
if
know.
it's on a leased piece of property, if you're leasing it, no one's allowed to come on that property
Yeah.
because when you lease it, you're the only one on that property. So that throws another red flag up. Why would someone come in through that way?
Well, maybe they got lost. I mean, it could have been somebody that got lost, and because you're not going to have somebody out there observing 24/7
That's what the
to
game
make
cam.
sure there's no well, except the game cam. Yeah, that's about the only thing that's going to be out there, and that's why they put them out there is to make observations.
What do you
And the
think
thing is,
about?
the way the show is edited, we don't know what was said or who or how it happened, how it came about. We don't know anything.
Right.
What were you going to say, Nikki?
I was gonna say, what do you think about the comment that Renee made about why would they not use the point of view from inside the structure going out?
What
You
good would
know,
it do?
I did note that comment.
Yeah. What good would it have done?
I don't
What would it
know.
have proved? The only thing it would have proved to us was those people where the game camera was sitting. That's the only view, unless you sit there and look forward and see it right there next to you. Same difference. It don't make no
Mhm.
sense.
Yeah. Um, Now they did their first night investigation in that area, and they got a bit of an interruption. They didn't really hear anything, but they had there was military maneuvers going on not too far from them. There were jets flying over, artillery going off, and things like that. So yeah, they were kind of caught unawares, as it were.
Yeah,
So
military
that
bases
ended
have a tendency to do that.
that ended their first night investigation. We'll just put it that way. And then they went. Uh, Cliff, Matt, and Bobo went to conduct the town hall meeting, and Renee stayed behind, and they called it the Kisachi National Forest. Apparently, that's an area which I guess is probably rich in reports.
Well,
And
I've been down there before, and it's everything you see. It's actually when you're there in person, it's a lot bigger. Being on the
yeah,
ground, you see it above, it's different from being on the ground. I hunted down there one year years ago, and it's pretty wide open, and you got some thick patches in there too.
yep. By the way, we neglected to mention they were in Louisiana this week. I forgot to mention that they were down in Louisiana, and the three guys they got some interesting reports. They got a report from a hunter who said that he had a rifle scope trained on a possible Sasquatch, and that he did not pull the trigger because this thing looked too human. Which I find always interesting because how many cases have we read about or heard about where a hunter has had one of these things in his sights and has not been able to pull the trigger?
Because they're going to come up with the exact same answer. It looks human.
Right, exactly.
And then, I've seen them in the woods during hunting season, and I pointed my gun at them. I tell you what, if you pull the trigger, you got balls of steel. Is all I can say.
Indeed.
But
Well,
you
it's
know,
just too scary about if you do shoot it, what are the consequences if it comes back,
exactly,
proven human? Nobody wants to be a murderer, you know.
exactly,
And
exactly,
being a hunter, you guys, most of you have a higher set of values when it comes to killing, dispatching animals. You treat them with respect and you go out with your tags and you do
exactly.
your diligence.
Yeah, 'cause like when you
So,
go deer hunting, you want to shoot the oldest, biggest buck, and let the younger ones produce. That's good sportsmanship.
right.
But yeah, you got people out there that'll go out half drunk and say, "I'll kill anything," and they'll shoot anything that moves. I've seen that, and that's not very sportsmanlike, But down in that
No.
area, you shoot the biggest and let the youngest live. But when it comes to a squatch like that, um, seeing something like that walk through the woods, that would it would freak you out, and you'd say, "That's a lot of money, but it looks too human."
Yeah. And I guarantee if you shoot one, you better be prepared because there are more in the area.
Yeah, what would happen if you dropped one? Let's say if you dropped a juvie, what would the consequences be?
Yeah.
Would they pick you up in 25 different
Which
states?
is which is why I'm a bit skeptical of Justin Smaya's story because
I think Justin did it because, or so-called did it because of money.
well, the thing
That was
is, if Smaya did it the way he says he did it, then I'm surprised he actually got out of there alive.
There's too many holes in it.
Right.
Like that one question I asked him, he said when he come up, and as soon as that squat saw the truck come up and started moving his arms or waving something like, "Hey, I got a kid over here, don't shoot." That right there was a major red flag. That's why I asked him that question, and he did not give me a straight answer.
And there's going to be, I guarantee, there's going to be a big male that's going to come up and it's going to turn that truck over.
Oh, big time.
Guaranteed.
Yeah,
A big male, I mean, we're talking 1,000-pound male, will turn that truck over.
I believe he can turn it. I believe he can take a truck and crush it.
Yeah.
And you can't run from them because they're fast.
Oh, no, no, you will never outrun them. Never.
Uh, uh,
Oh, no. No way. But, getting back to this guy's story, I found him to be pretty credible. I mean, he seemed like he was
yeah,
pretty credible, I think. Because, I guess, and I'm not a hunter, but I'm sure one rule as a hunter is don't shoot anything unless you can, take it home and eat it or put it on your wall.
yeah,
Well, identify it, period, 100%.
Exactly. Yeah, or
yeah,
if you can't identify it.
yeah. I mean, I have a lot of stuff come out in front of me that I could shoot. I let them walk by.
Yeah.
Let's play a squatch. I definitely let them walk by. I'd be fascinated. I'm surprised he didn't have a cell phone on him while he was out there. The
And
people
yeah,
nowadays, they carry cell phones everywhere. So why didn't he have a phone? If he did have one, why didn't he use it?
yeah, good question. Speaking of which, what about that young girl who claimed she had 6 sightings and she made the claim? Moneymaker was actually skeptical of her, to be quite honest.
There was a lot of red flags in her story.
Yeah,
Because
I agree.
why would a Squatch, unless the only thing I can think of is unless the Squatch thought that, well, she's not a threat.
Yeah,
That's the only thing I can think of. But why didn't she say the dog was going off?
Yeah, she just said, what did they say? That just the dog was alerting over there, but not like having a fit or anything.
a
No,
dog would not be that calm.
Oh no, they
Not
were
around
running,
something
boy,
like
like
that.
hell.
Yep.
Well, I don't know if you guys have heard of Barb and Gabby. Have you heard of
Yeah,
well, her dog doesn't go off either. She's real tame and she alerts, but when she alerts, she's looking straight out there and nothing can pull that dog's focus. So,
that's a good
it's not,
spot.
that could be that type of situation where the dog is just watching to see what's going to happen.
Hmm.
But I
Yeah,
don't know.
because a dog can sense danger,
Right.
or like a lot of people I know, they run dogs, and during hunt season, a lot of time a good dog, like a good hunt, like a good coon dog, they can run across a deer trail, a bear trail, anything like that. They won't bark.
Yeah.
But or you go out in the field with bird dogs, they point. So maybe a dog is naturally tuned in, like, hey, something's there, but I don't sense no danger, or something like that. A dog could have done something like that. Who really, no one knows.
Yeah.
You know.
And then the third story that they investigated, Bobo investigated this himself, was the rather famous Craig Woolheater, the founder of the Texas Bigfoot Research Conservancy, who talked about his sighting from 1994, where he saw this. He and his then girlfriend, who became his wife, they're no longer married, by the way, but his then girlfriend, he and his then girlfriend were on their way, I think, back to Texas, and they saw a thing. Um, they saw this thing walking parallel with the road, and Craig to this day thinks, we should have gone back and taken a closer look instead of just driving right by it.
I
And
don't know.
the area that he saw it in was pretty isolated, I have to say, and it pretty heavily wooded, and it wasn't very far from that Kisachi forest either.
I don't know much about that story. Right there. So I can't answer on it because I don't know much about it.
I've heard Craig tell it before. Yeah. So I tend to think I tend to think it did happen because you had more than two, you had more than one witness. You had more than one witness, and I tend to put a lot of credibility into that story. And it's not very far from that national forest. So
What year
yeah,
did that
there's
happen?
1994. So
Oh shoot, right.
20, we're talking 20 years ago when that happened.
Yeah.
But
Uh,
anyway, yeah, go ahead, Freddie.
uh, well, he said when they was in the car and it passed, they said it lasted about 8 seconds. And
Hmm.
one looked at the other one and said, "Did you just see what I saw?" And they
Yeah,
both said, "So if two of them saw it at the exact same time, I tend to believe it." Especially,
yeah.
for the husband and wife. Usually the wife will say, "No, I didn't see nothing like that," but if she said, "Yeah, I did see something," but what? That's what she
Well,
might.
yeah, they both saw it at the same time. So yeah,
Yeah. Well, it kind of reminds
I
me
would.
of back last year we found a Bigfoot where this lady claims, I think she delivered newspapers, and she had that one walking down the road on the left side,
Hmm.
and it was kind of in the suburbia area. I kind of thought of
I
that
think
when you first mentioned it.
I think I
That
remember that story. Yeah,
yeah, where Matt Moneymaker went and met her, and it was kind of like at an intersection or something like that.
yeah.
It
Yeah,
kind
I
of reminded me,
remember that.
huh?
I remember that now.
Yeah, yeah. It kind of reminded me of that scenario.
Yeah, I don't think you have to be way out there deep in the woods to have a sighting.
No.
I think you just have to have some dumb luck sometimes and
Well,
be in a campground or be on a major highway in the middle of the mountains.
well,
And
in my area, the family group that I videoed, their bedding area is probably 1,000 yards away from three houses. That's how close they are. Or the one across the road in front of me in October was like 800 yards from a subdivision.
Yeah,
Yeah,
I
I
don't
think.
think you have to be way out there. Now, I'm sure they are way out there,
Yeah,
but
I
you
think they're
know,
coming. I think they're getting closer and closer. I think more of them are starting to get braver and come in because
well, I
the
think
environment's
we
changed.
have encroached on them a little bit, you
Yeah,
know.
exactly. And I think they're starting to come in, getting a little braver.
Yeah, I tend to agree with y'all. Now, the one thing that they did for their final, well, Renee didn't find anything, but she did look around in that area. Um, and one thing that happened during the final night investigation, they used an interesting technique, which I thought was really unique, and that was they had a drum line corps from one of the local high schools out there, and they had them playing their drums and things like that. And I thought that was an interesting technique. Um, and I mean, they heard some wood knocks, so that technique may have yielded some interesting results because they did hear some wood knocks. Of course, we didn't hear them because of the damn musical sting. Animal Planet, get together. We want to hear the sounds too.
There's a catch in there. There's a catch 22 in there somewhere.
Yeah. We would like to hear the sounds too, Animal Planet. Um, but one thing, well, they were disrupted during their. It was Matt and Renee were disrupted by a car coming down the road, and they had to run and hide in the bushes. So, which was interesting, and they had to go run into the bushes
Yeah,
so the
I had
car
never
wouldn't.
seen that. I had never seen them do that before.
No, that was the first time. Well, they're out on a dirt road, essentially in the middle of nowhere. And it's interesting that they would have somebody. Freddy's frozen up.
Yeah.
Okay, Freddy, whenever you can make it back, come on back. But yeah, that was pretty interesting. But they did hear some wood knocks. At least that's
Yeah.
what they say they heard. They did hear some wood knocks. So I found that to be quite interesting.
I don't know
I
if
have to
I
say,
go ahead.
go ahead, Nikki.
No, you go
No,
ahead.
you go ahead.
I was just gonna say, I don't know how, when everybody says wood knocks, and I know that a lot of people put a lot of credibility into that because you need hands to grasp, another piece of
Yes.
wood. But I don't see if something's falling or a branch is naturally falling and it hits another piece of wood, it's going to make the same sound. So
Well, you make a good point. Yeah, you're right. But if you hear
unless it's in
multiple,
succession, yeah, like that,
right,
multiple,
if
like
you
you
hear
said.
multiple
Boom, boom,
knocks,
boom,
then
boom.
there's no possibility of it being just a branch falling onto another branch.
Right.
If you hear a
Takes
series
a,
of successive
it,
knocks, then
it takes an amount of force to make a sound. The
yeah,
way to make a loud knock like that from a tree, from a branch, would have to be if one fell from like 20 feet up and it was about the size of a baseball around us and it hit another one on the ground to get something close to that loud.
So that's possible. It's possible. You
That's
have
about,
to,
that's,
yeah,
that's
yeah,
it's
about a 1 in
possible.
20 shot.
Not likely, but it's possible.
Yeah.
But I mean, I know when you hear it and you're out there and you know it can't possibly be anything else.
All right, well, here's a question.
right.
Why do squatches not tree knock? There's two reasons why they do it. Think about it.
Warning,
Yeah, yeah, and what's the other one?
communicating.
Communication. Yeah.
Yep. And they also do it while they drive to let each other know where they're at and what's coming.
Hmm.
I've learned that. because they are
All
in that
right.
big predator.
Well, it was actually a good episode. I think it was just as good as last week's. Not as good as the first week, but still, it was an enjoyable hour. I don't regret having watched the episode. I'm going to give it about another 7 out of 10. Pretty solid episode, I have to say. What about you, Freddie?
I give it a 6.5.
Okay, Nikki?
I give it a 10.
Oh,
I give them all a
Okay.
10. I give them all a 10 because I like finding Bigfoot
Yeah.
and I like the entertainment value. And I'm not so much on it. I just want to watch it. I want to watch it, see what happens, see who I know that's on there. It's just fun for me. So I give it a 10 because I watch it. I like it.
All right. Well, before we go off the air, we do want to make an announcement that next week they're going to be in Washington State, back in Washington State, I should say, according to the preview, and it looks as if they might get snowed out, according to the preview. And also, I found out that the episode featuring our good friend Paul Halsey, Bama Bigfooter, is scheduled to air on Sunday, July 13th, 10 Eastern, 9 Central.
I'll believe that when I see it.
I know, yeah. Hopefully it will happen. I've already told Paul about it, so he already knows about it.
Oh, okay, good.
So, anyway, we do want to thank y'all for tuning in. For those who are tuning in, or maybe not tuning in, or whatever. But we'll be back here next week, and hopefully Shane will be back with us. And we will be taking a look at the Finding Bigfoot Washington episode, the third trip to Washington that they've taken since the show started. So thank you very much. Of course, I want to thank Freddie and Nikki for coming on and always helping out and giving their takes on the episode. And we will see y'all next week. Till then, y'all be good at it. See y'all later.